Alright, I'm just going to get a couple things rolling here, and good to go. Hope everybody's having a good morning. Yes. Alright, got that cleared up. Good to go, good to go. What's holding us back? Probably nothing. I'm kind of in love with the process on this little guy here. We're gonna have to see what's kind of what as far as where we go from here. But the way I see it at this point in my head, he's a vampire, right? And you know, I'm working on this new kind of painterly approach to things. He's super rough, but
I'm Diana of Themyscira.
good morning, Inks. How are you today? But even with this painterly approach, it's kind of coming together. Like, this camera is up the nose of this count, right? It's a count. He is the count. He's just an old count, maybe. I want to fill in his teeth a little bit today. But I had this idea, and I don't remember if I mentioned it on stream, but my thought was, because he's a bit undead, right? And the more I get to know this sculpt, the more I see things like this little flap of skin in here. Like how sunk in his eyes are. How gaunt things are up in here. This is kind of sloughing over. And he even has a little bit of wrinkle on this side that I've decided to make or focus on my light source. But we come over here to this darker side, and you can see it's even more kind of sloughed in over here. He doesn't have quite the bag under his eye, but it's different. Like, his whole brow is kind of coming over it. And so my idea is that I'm going to make this side look quite a bit more undead. Sammy Grace, good morning. How are you, miss? And then, so I want to pack quite a bit more blue into here. And really start making him look not well. He's kind of looking up, you know, and towards this direction. And so I kind of thought maybe for his story, maybe he's finally fed after a long time and he's starting to get some liveliness back into him. Maybe my light source exemplifies that, where he's sort of coming back into more living than dead. And so I kind of want to pack a little bit of that blue into the temple, because temples are always darker, and maybe a little bit down in here as well. And because of that, I might push this highlight up quite a bit. And we'll fix this little mistake on his snooter. That's kind of my thought. Maybe we'll push the highlights over here and refine them a bit, and then we'll get this looking quite a bit more dead. But I don't know if I want to do all that today. I think right now I just have an idea. And maybe today it's time for our little hobbit. Get some more work done on him, huh? Sammy says, I'm okay, need more coffee. Sammy, hopefully you have it, and you can then get some. Yesterday, Inks was enjoying just all of the tea. Says such an amount. A whole pint, maybe? If memory serves. But yeah, I'd like to, you know, I was just kind of playing around with colors on our little hobbit here, but I think I really want to focus in on some of the things. We got, like, I kind of just blocked his pants in, but I really do love this color. This color's nice. And I kind of pre-shaded him. So I think I'm going to focus in on skin tones and actually block them in and get them to make sense. Yeah, a whole pint, yep. And good for you, Inks. Sammy's got to restart the PC. A full pint of tea. What kind of tea, if you don't mind? I like some tea. While we're at it, I believe, yes, they're over here. I don't know if any of you that are in here have ever frequented Tea Time for Taryn's stream. But I did a little order from her over. George, good morning. If you have a few moments, we're going to go over some stuff once I hit just a couple more viewers. We can cover a couple of things that I unboxed for you. She sent me this nice little letter with my order, which is just a couple of things, some stickers and some cards. And what she didn't tell me I was getting, I shouldn't show those just yet. Just like little holiday cards that she did up in her watercolors. How cool are these? Little penguins. Tactical Booty, good morning. Just showing off some loot that I ordered from Tea Time for Taryn. She streams on here. Little Merry Christmas action going on in there, but I thought those penguins were so cute. Something nice to send out to a couple people. Because I'm old at 33, I suppose. She sent me these little stickers for them. Maybe for a gift. So, for those of you that haven't seen this, I have a case that I use for my miniatures that I haul around my stuff on, and I stack stickers on it. So I've been around some places, Bryce Canyon, we got Moab, Grand Canyon, some national parks, Canyonlands. A couple represents my Tea Time for Taryn stickers. We got a new addition. Look at that guy. Look at that. Little George sticker in there. Prime real estate for it. Represent while I'm going to the local shop and off to events and whatnot. But my bus came in, and I believe this sculpt has been shown off at least once before, but I'm going to bring some stuff up about it. I think... That's right, George. I have cleaned and prepped a lot of resin. I won't say a lot. I haven't been in this game long enough to say a lot. But let's just say I've seen resin from a number of companies. George, your work is very clean. I mean, I know I should probably give it a bath just out of paranoia for mold release, but this is very clean, sir. Especially with the degree of detail that you do. I'm not seeing any of the things that tell me that things were done haphazardly. Like, when I look at this, I see all of these detail pieces in here. For those of you that haven't worked with resin components just yet, you would see a ton of flashing in all of this, especially where we change textures here between the leather and the stitching. Especially around this button, there would be, generally speaking, somewhere along here or somewhere along here we're going to find at least a mold line. And it seems like George has kind of done some work to minimize what this is going to look like along this ridge. Because I don't think it would take me 15 minutes to have this thing ready to go in prime. And those 15 minutes are mostly going to be spent out of just being as respectful to the piece as you possibly can. And the other impressive thing about this piece is we're going to have to move the camera. That's how massive this is. My hand for scale, but I don't have a small hand. So this is quite the model. And because we are so close, the biggest reason why I'm working on skin tones at this point is because of this gentleman, and I'm super excited to try to do that nose flushing. I actually started taking some pictures yesterday because I have my lightings for the studio here, and I sort of started playing with exactly how dramatic I want to make him. Like, is he more menacing, or is he perhaps more like lying in wait? Like, I don't know how dramatic I want to be just yet. But we're gonna work out a fun light source and make a big. Well, obviously it has to be big. He's ginormous. So we're gonna make something out of this. I just haven't settled on how I want to do his light sourcing just yet. We'll get him figured out. Doc Holiday in the building. Good morning. Tactical. Inks is saying they had a full pint yesterday. I'm sitting at work just thirsty, and Inks is rolling around with a full pint on the tee. Sounding super comfy, super not thirsty. But yes, I think to start today, we're going to make some actual progress on this hobbit. I know at this point I had actually painted his jacket, and it kind of had some placeholders on his flesh tones and potential ideas for lapel, blanket, backpack. I don't like the lapel being that purple, especially if we're going to continue to have the bedroll be green. That said, I am absolutely in love with his vest, and I think the skin tones are becoming a thing. I think they're becoming very real, especially at this scale. So let's get the wet palette open and let's get some paints going. And I wonder if these are still alive. Ah, they are. Yeah. Thanks. The other day we were talking about wet palettes. If you're with us, I cover a couple of things at this, like right now, before I get going too much. I know that some things don't translate well through text when I can have the platform to actually show you some things. Yeah, I'm going to take this nice darker tone here. I'm going to start getting some coverage on these legs. I might need. Grab something a little more opaque. Baz the Brit, hey y'all, hey all. See, I'm letting my American nature come out just a little. How are you today, Baz? Tactical Booty says hello. Further working on the camera. Making sure I've got a comfortable place to rest and still get you guys and gals the best shot I possibly can. And Sammy's back. A fresh reboot and hopefully some warm coffee in hand. And to go along with all of this, let's refine where I just decided to stop slopping paint the other day. I'm just going to stipple the paint in here along his cheekbone, possibly even a little bit further back, maybe not much. Hit this little ridge, and I don't think I can go closer to the camera because I'll lose focus, but I'm going to try to bring some light up here about as close to his nose as I can get it. Tidy up along his little pipe stem here. Hit the chin. Never forget the chin. It's already got a pretty decent highlight there, so I'm going to leave that alone. This side I did some actual work on, so this is looking pretty smooth. I might just stipple a little bit of this color in over here to kind of start adding some filler between the light and the shadow. I'm going to take a little bit of the redness out of the lower portion, the lobe portion of this ear. And I think before I make too much refinement on his head, or his face. I want to fill in his hair. Does anybody have any ideas what would be a good hair color for a hobbit like this? Should we go just classic brown? I don't really know that I want to dive into like a ginger hobbit, but you guys think about that. I'm going to get his foot. Doc Holiday says, the camera on you needs to be moved a bit. I guess I am... We don't want the whole mic. Let's have a peek. We better? Baz says I like it as is. You want to go with some gray hair, Baz? Maybe like he's been on the adventure for quite a while. I kind of like that idea, truthfully. Let's cover up this little bit of yellow that kind of hit his toes. Alright. And then we'll start adding in some tonal variations once I get these messes I made of them covered up. Let's grab some of this darker tone that I had sitting. Now I'm not so worried about the opacity because we're just adding tonal adjustments and not worried about like covering up little splotches of, you know, the color that was on the pants or whatever undercoating that we're not getting good coverage on. Now we can start really getting the variations that are needed to make them look alive, as well as you know, like a little hobbit like this that's embodying the spirit of adventure. I don't think he would necessarily have the cleanest of little feet. He's been traveling the world with no shoes. He should be wearing a little bit of that on him. You know what else? I think I need to just grab a little bit of black paint. I'm not going to go black on it, but we're going to add a couple colors here to start the dark lining process. I've got some areas on him that are starting to refine pretty well, but I feel like if I don't start them now, I might lose track of some of the areas that actually need it. And the other thing about dark lining as you go, one, speeds it up quite a bit, but two, and probably more importantly, that those little lines start to bring things into focus for you, and that little bit of, I don't know, that little adjustment will help me not obsess. I tend to obsess quite a bit over little things on a model. Like I might think, oh, this isn't smooth, or these things don't look good, but by bringing it into focus a little better, you can see more clearly the work you've done, and it helps it look better, in my opinion. I gotta grab a paint from the table behind me. I'm not gonna go too far. I have a color called Coal Black, one of my favorite tones, and it makes, when I do my dark lining, I use like a dark red, a lot of purple. Make sure, yeah. Obviously I grabbed the wrong one. Where did I just set that? Here he is. So I use this Sanguine base from P3, but all this is a really dark red. Vallejo Black Red is very close to this. Maybe a little bit more red in it, but a lot of purple. And I like that a lot. I do a lot of things with this color. It's really good for shading reds. You don't have to be brand specific to do this. And then I use this Coal Black. It has a lot of like blue colors in it. And so when we get the black and the purple and the blue together, we start getting like a desaturated green, like a desaturated gray. By the way, this color highlights with yellow super well. You get this nice green tone. But we're going to go the other way. We're going to desaturate it with this purple and get this nice black kind of tone. And that's when we use the dark line as Hobbit. Actually, what I did was take a larger brush, grab way too much paint, and totally blow out the red that I had. So I gotta go back, get a little more red in this. A question, maybe, what would you guys think about me having like a palette camera so you could see what I'm doing over here with the colors as I mix them? That could be a fun little extra thing to have. A little bit of water into this. I think it also helps if you want to line things to have a little bit of flow to the paint, a little extra flow. That's good. It's a good mix. Everybody says the camera looks a lot better. Good. And Baz says, yeah, looks awesome as is. Old traveled hobbit. All right, all right. We'll get him traveled in there. I'll just show that color mixture I've just made. Oh, there we are. Forgetting from yesterday that I don't need to move my hand all the way over there. Yesterday, Monday. But yeah, nice dark color, but also not completely black. And so I might just grab a little finer tipped brush. I have one of these Roof Lofts. It's one of the smallest brushes I own. This is a size 1 from them. So we're not talking about triple zeros and all this craziness. However, the Roof Loft, I think it's how you say that, is super fine tipped. And it's got rather than having the fat belly that I like out of the majority of my brushes, it's a longer belly. So a longer torsoed brush, perhaps. But I use this for a lot of line work because you get the effect of the belly with the length of the bristle. Adds a little snap to the brush. It is so helpful. And this is actually a very popular brush for nail artists. That's how I found out about it. Just going to start lining in these transitions on them. This is the black magic step of the model painting process. It really brings things together. And here I'm not being super fine. If this was a finishing portion of the lining, I would likely be dragging my second brush in here to sort of erase it away and make it as small as possible. But here, we're going to get it painted over anyhow. We just want to create a nice transition. Make a definite jump between the skin tone and his pants, his little trousers. And since I already have this brush out, we got Gallo Fire. It says, good morning, Nomadic Chris, and hey at Inks. Well, good morning, Gallo Fire. How are you today? I'm thinking here we're going to be quite a bit more deliberate. And he has another undershirt. I'm not sure what I want it to be just yet. I'm thinking just a nice cream color will be nice, but can't be too sure just yet. Just being careful to line his little backpack strap, which needs painted, so if I'm going to overpaint, we'll paint that direction, huh? Galifar says, very good, thanks. Just a lip of working and lurking. There you go, little work and lurk. Lifeblood of the community. Maybe also we'll do a little line down here on his zip little flap of his pants, and underneath his little vest here. Let's see if I can't get in here carefully. I think I can let my arm rest like that. I'm gonna move a little. We're gonna move a little to the side so I can let my arm rest comfortably. And I'm just touching my hands to do this. I'm resting my arms on my desk. Everybody will be different with what works for them in this process, but you gotta be comfy. Whatever comfortable is for you is probably close to correct. And let's see, we stopped on that strap, so let's just continue down this side. And let's also catch it on this side. And let's also catch his little pocket. While we're at it. Maybe even a little bit around this button. We'll catch this little innie where his lowest button is not buttoned. That's a really slick detail there. I actually kind of love that. How cool. Let's also, while we're at it, we're going to frame in his face. What do you think? Let's just have a little peek along the edge of the hair. And then, per Baz the Brit's recommendation, we'll go through here and we'll try to find a little bit more pepper in this hair. Here I'm just being very gentle, and we're trying to... It's like I want this line to be here, but I almost want it to be non-existent. So we're just being sort of careful. To frame it without making it look like I've painted some large dark line on him. It's a delicate balance, I know. And the other reason for doing it now is because you always have to kind of close it out. You gotta like finish it up. To make it truly look good, you gotta paint over it again. You gotta like bring your color like up to it again and sort of erase it a bit. But already that head, or the separation between the hair and the face, is really starting to make a lot more sense. Yeah, there we are, we're in focus. Along the pants as well, we've started to differentiate, even though it's just sloppy paint and nothing makes sense in here just yet. Just by lining this out, we can start to see all the little details and the definitions. And I know I'm about to repaint this, so I'm not going to worry too much about it, but I'm also going to separate this little ascot that he has on. And he has a little flap in here I'm seeing in his undershirt, so we'll separate that as well with his vest. Let's make a second line there. So I'm going to settle on a color for that. Maybe a little bit of this. This is what happens when I clean up my desk and I don't have any of my things. What have we here? Nice ivory. Ivory might look nice for a little bit of color on the that undershirt. I'm glad you're doing well, Gallifire. I hope everybody's having a good week. I know we're about ready to start wrapping it up, honestly. Holiday season's upon us. Trying to get everything together in a short amount of time. Today is actually my wife's birthday, so Be ending the stream a little bit early so I can spend some extra time with her this morning. Well, I shouldn't say extra time. So I can be available when the time comes for her to like get up and be around for the morning. But that's not going to be until a little more than an hour from now. So plenty of time to get some work done. Alright, so I've added a little bit of ivory to my palette. It's just a nice off-white. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of green into that. Something like a darker brown green. Oh, Bass says happy birthday to Mrs. Chris. Yeah, we'll tell her happy birthday from everybody. She likes that. Maybe just because of the colors we're working with, like the reds in the jacket and the blue purples that I have over here, we'll go with a little blue instead of green. Which do you guys prefer? A little more blue or a little more black? I don't know. This blue is very similar to coal black. A little bit brighter, maybe. Let me see what a spot of this coal black looks like, because I already have coal black and some other things. We just lined with it, so. And I said earlier, it's kind of crazy that when you add yellow to it, you get a little bit of all that blue will come out and turn a little green. It turned a very baby blue. Yeah, that's no good. That's too blue. That says coal black out of rock. That's nice. We got Musty Paint says, hey, hey, hey. How's everybody doing? I am doing well. It would appear that most everybody else is doing all right today, and hopefully you're doing well while we're at it. His pants are a scrofulous green. I need to add some brown to this for sure so I can shade it appropriately, but I don't know what that should be. And since I've tidied my desk, it is going to be nigh impossible to locate a reasonable brown. That's just the truth of it. We can go a little umber. Some umber could work, and it's handy. It's over here hauling. It's like, hey, pick me. And so we will. Just adding a little bit of the ever good burnt umber. Classic tone. Musty with the shouts out to Baz. Baz been in here helping me pick colors, Musty. So, if you want to get in on that, we love good feedback. Yeah, this umber desaturates pretty nicely. Yeah, this will be good. This will work. And if we don't like it, paint it again. No big deal. So here we've added some of that umber to our ivory tone. And I'm just going to try to get up in here. Gently. Just make a little stipple gesture. Grab a little bit more of this umber. Yeah, I can tell already it's going to be a little too bright to start out with. Get this properly focused in for you guys. That seems pretty good. Can't talk. Has anybody been working on anything fun this week that they'd like to share while I'm working on this? I know we all enjoy so much to have a look at what others are working on, draw a ton of inspiration based on just seeing work get done or new pieces get started. I think it's all important and all very good. Here I'm just kind of stippling or agitating my brush as opposed to moving big brush strokes. I think that, for me, helps me not overpaint an area. I might just base coat this area of his little ascot here while I'm at it, because where I overpainted, I think it'll be very hard for that color I like for it, that yellow, to get good coverage. So we'll just give it a little base coat here, and hopefully that'll help. Faz says just a couple Reaper minis. Well, no, just a couple. Reaper minis are pretty cool. Let's see. I'm going to try to... You can see in here, between his face and the lapel, there's a lot of white in there from when I got my initial highlights put in. So we're going to try and pack some shadow in there and take that away. We don't want people looking down in there. We want them checking out how cool his face is going to be, or how fun his little pipe is. But I don't think we want too much excitement down in that little crevice. And while we're at it, I might add a little bit of that liner down in here and reline the edges of this shirt, since we way overpainted it. Just way. Let's see what happened to our playlist here. Video paused. Let's unpause. Baz says I mostly paint Reaper, to be honest. That's no problem at all. Reaper makes great minis. What have we missed here? Baz says I really like it. Happy birthday, yada yada. Gallo says love the P3 paints. I do love me some P3 paints. Privateer is an awesome company with some awesome products. Their paints are second to none. Sorry I missed that earlier. Okay, so we're sure we're on the right track here. Alright, Musty says, just been building up a load of different models for many armies to paint in the new year. There you go. Bass is so hard. Alright, so we got some fresh liner on here. We're going to bring this down here. A little bit more here. There we go. Clean that excess. Now that we've got that darker umber tone in here, I ought to be able to start bringing this up just a little bit. And so you can see our tonal difference here on my thumb. Just little by little, we'll start to bring up these ridges. Kind of take this shirt from being a pile of muddy mess, kind of bring it to life. Nothing too bright. If we're too bright, I think it'll start detracting from his face and everything else. So it's like a delicate balance between some clean linen and, oh, you have a blob of white down here. I'll get just a little bit more of that ivory in here for the final touch. I always like to, even though it's a new color, I was going to mix it in just a little bit of umber, smooth that transition between them. And here I'm just going to stipple in to get a little bit of paint to deposit. Let's make sure we're in focus, and we seem to be. Baz says, "Oh, so hard to get Reaper here and super expensive due to postage." So you're paying premium to get their products. What draws you to Reaper, Baz? The fantasy line that they have, the Bones minis. There's a lot of reasons to be into a company like that. I'm not trying to pigeonhole them, just maybe some tiny little lines here and there. There we have it. A little shirt for a little guy. Not Reaper, sorry, P3. Yeah, P3, I get that. P3 makes a ton of sense. They don't have too much distribution, so if you're not able to locate a local shop that can provide it, that's a swap to my laptop. So predictive text, yeah, that's a real thing. Gets me all the time. Okay. I'm trying to mix up a little something to add to his hair. Just going to add a little bit of dark blue into his hair here. Try to find a nice wash tone to get that to make sense real quick. Let's have a peek on my thumb here. Oops, sorry about the camera adjustment. So that's pretty light. Ought to wash away pretty cleanly. And as always, I keep a nice, just wet, clean brush on hand. We'll leave that right here for when we need it. And let's just start to wash back some of these areas where we kind of want him to look like his hair is super dark, but at the same time, we don't want it to just be black and white. Maybe add a little more tonal variation in here. I'm just going to use my thumb to kind of make sure this is settling down in and not dyeing those kind of tips. Taking all the salt out of the pepper, so to speak. And we'll leave the majority of this alone up here up top. Make sure we're finding good focus here. Baz is back on the laptop now. Welcome. Just adding a little bit of something here into the hair. And here's that value of having this bigger, or this other clean brush. You can add things, then kind of erase it a little bit. So you can add almost an impossibly small amount. Sort of erase it back. How cool. And then There we have it. What do we think, Baz? Add a little bit of variety to that hair. Get it shaded in appropriately. Ooh, maybe a little bit more back here. Just a little bit. I think that looks good. A little something. Maybe we'll try to clean up this little area here around his temple a little bit more. Around his ear. Just some spots that were negligently overpainted by me earlier. Yeah, I kind of like that too. That was a good idea. Maybe I'll come back through here when we get into the finishing steps in this area here on the lower side of his part. We'll bring in some highlights there and maybe even push the darkness at the root of where the part's going up as well. Maybe add some actual black going up and we'll add a little bit of actual white going down. Make a nice shiny effect there. Draw a little attention to that. That's good. That could be fun. A well-seasoned hobbit with a bag of dwarven gold. Yes, yes. You know where he got his money. Alright, what should be next? Probably skin. Get back on his flesh tones. Try to get a little bit of water in this. See if any of these paints will come back to life, or if we've got to add some more. Which is no problem. It's just, yeah, let's do that. Red seems good. We're totally out of green, and we need some yellow. So for our skin tones, I happen to be using P3 paints, but you're at no obligation to do so. We just have a neutral yellow, like a primary looking yellow, and an olive green. Those are the important parts. You also need a red or multiple reds, depending on what you're doing, if you're going to mix stuff up like I am. I turn out to be using Cawdor Red base from P3. We got Cygnus Yellow and Worm Green. But yeah, primary yellow, some red, and olive green. You also need like some white. Nope, no need for Cygnus Yellow. We're done with that color now, huh? Where'd that go? Go into the box? No way. Yeah, way. Found its way right into a box. Lucky me. Alright, get a little bit of yellow out of this. Do any of you use agitators in your paints? I tend to like the agitators myself. I'd used almost all of the yellow, but I definitely used all of the green. Just add a little bit of that. And there was still some red, but I feel like if we're going through all this effort, we might as well get a little bit more red. And because I am trying to learn how to use inks more, I am going to pull out some ink. Just things I'm playing with right now. I got a magenta. Again, brand doesn't matter. Liquitex, De La Rowney, Winsor Newton. We got a fluorescent blue. I'm using the fluorescent blue because I couldn't get like the regular, like a cyan to work. It was so strong. Every time I try to put even just a little drop in, I was like getting way too much blue. And the fluorescent is a more timid, little less powerful blue. And so I'm just going to be adding those to my palette as well. Moments like this are why I sort of ask if anybody thinks a palette camera would be nice. And we also have an emerald green. It is much more green than this. It's coming across very pale, but it's definitely like Wizard of Oz green. The camera makes it look almost jade. It's just a strong... Ink says, so the blue to make it look undead. If I was going to work on the vampire, I absolutely would. And maybe I'll bounce over to him here in a bit. But I'm going to just be fixing the hobbit's feet right now. So for him, we're going to be using a lot more reds and yellows because we want him to look more alive. More peachy tones, so to speak. Oranges and so forth. Speaking of that, Inks, great time to ask me that. I'm also going to get a little bit of this flame orange. And so these areas on the Hobbit will be packing some blue into the lower areas because they'll look like they've got a little less life in them. When we go back over here to the vampire, the blues are almost... These little highlights here are almost going to be his brightest tones. We're going to add a little more blue and purple to them and kind of make them look more malefic. I think that's the term. So here we go with a little bit of green and yellow. And some red. We'll make it nice. Ooh. Red is super strong. Starting to remember why I had so much of it left over. And a little bit of white. I have a bunch of white on my palette, so I didn't grab any extra, but... And then some blue. What to do with that? Get some... I don't want more red, but I think I need it. There's like a point where the red just turns everything red, and then there's a area where you get enough colors in there where it starts to become a nice off brown, and then it starts to turn pinkish when you get a little bit of white in there. Which is where I think I've got this. And so I bring it to my thumb. This is our tone that I've mixed up. So I'm going to actually wet my brush a little bit and get it a little bit translucent. A little bit of moisture. And so it's not quite a wash, but it's just a little bit more transparent. Ink says the vampire looks a lot like Nosferatu, but teeth in the wrong place. Yeah, to be Nosferatu, he's kind of like if Smeagol was kind of transitioning to Golem. If we take the fangs out of the equation, he kind of has that look to him with his ears. But he's done in such a way that he's kind of like, I see a lot of different characters in him. For some reason. Alright, let's get a little bit of this color on his hand. The sax. Let's handle these little fingers here. This is actually just a little too moist here. Let's get some better color. A little denser color here. That's a little more controllable. Alright, and we are in focus, so let's have a peek. A little too much on the brush, but that's what we want. Just stippling this in a little bit here on the face. Rubbed a little bit of paint off his nose. Reason number 400 for not actually touching your model till you get him in a better place. Being gentle when you do. That's much better. Oh, Captain Madlove, what time is it? Is it where you are nomadic? Oh, and good morning. It is 6:32 a.m. out here in the lovely Pennsylvania. We are mixing up our own skin tones. Working on this lovely little hobbit. How are you today, Captain? Baz says, sorry, back again. Call off work. Dang it. Did somebody call off to your work, or are you calling off work? Get a little bit of red here into his cheeks. And very soon, we will be able to stop having him look so splotchy up here in his face. Things will start to, some degree, come into focus here. Get some of this rosiness in here. Adding this red is like a dabble do ya situation. And down here where things are going to start to dip off onto his cheek, I'm just going to make some stipple gestures so I'm not like giving total opaque coverage, but we're just building it up to a certain point. And then we'll kind of meet it with the next tone. A little bit of that in the ear as well. A little bit of redness in the hand. Isn't bad at all. Once we line out those fingers, that'll start to make a lot more sense there as well. And even though we're in shadow, maybe we'll start to add a little bit of skin tone onto this ear. Can't let him have like a decrepit, necrotic ear over here. Stop ignoring that thing. Try to bring this tone as close to our line as we can without overpainting it. Captain says, wow, Baz, long time no see. That's not how Captain talks. She probably says, wow, Baz. Long time no see. How have you been? It's implied. And actually grab a little bit of green. And we'll start taking this tone. It's going to look very stark right here because we've got the red tones in. But I'm going to bring the greens up here into the foreheaded area. The most glorious of all badgers has entered the stream and graced us with his presence. And I think we'll also get a little bit of this green tone down in here. And down into here. To contrast with the reds. Get a little bit of that down here in the canal of the ear as well. Maybe a little bit down this line. And then we're going to get a little more blue in here. Add a little bit of that tone. Make sure I don't have too much on my brush. Little tippies of his chin here. Maybe just a little bit under here as well. Just to start shaping things in. Califire shouts out to Mad Love. Baz says, work called regarding a drugs test I failed. They already knew I would fail due to my meds, but Holly, they said I have the work record for the highest elevated levels. Oh, God. If you're on a medication, it should be present and working, you would think. Alright, we got the blues, the greens, the reds. What we don't have is enough coverage to cover that little whoopsie I made where I tapped his nose. So, we're going to give it a little better coverage. Little bit by little bit. Might take a couple coats, but we'll get it. That's starting to work for me. Okay, so in this green area up here, we're just going to add a little bit more of our skin tone to the mix. Not getting rid of the green entirely, but we don't want his forehead to look too olive. We'll start to highlight things out here. I think the direction of your brush strokes helps out a ton with this. While we're at it, we'll get this little area here as well. And back in here. Ooh, be careful back in here. This might just be a little bit too bright, to be honest. A little too yellow. Let's see. Baz says, LOL, I should be in a medical textbook. I'll be returning to work at the back end of January. It's all the opioids the docs give me, has pain relief. I'll be fine. Hopefully you are okay. They shouldn't be able to do things like that if, you're just trying to live your life. Take a little bit of the power out of this chin. Yeah, I think we have those volumes pretty well scoped in here. A little bit of this orange tone in here. Ooh, that's quite a bit of orange. Oh God, so strong. I'll use this to separate some of these tones, and then we'll paint over it once I have it sketched out. So we're just grabbing these rosy cheeks and adding a little bit of orange to it. That seems like a lot of orange. Little bits across the nose here. Cap says, oh my God, it was a total typo. Doing much better than you. What? Cap? Cap says, I'm so sorry. I'm up really early and I haven't had my coffee and I'm not wearing my glasses. Captain. Says, that was supposed to say I'm doing much better now, not much better than you. I apologize. I guess they give us glasses for a reason. Goodness, Captain. But as I think what Captain's trying to say is, it's all a bunch of love, and she's glad that you are well, but sorry that things are not going so well with work. As says, yeah, I'm fine. They wanted to test to see the levels I'm adding stuff as I can't enter the site till I pass everything. I got what you meant, and it's fine. Yeah, okay. And we're back and forth with these colors again. Alright, we get this nice red green tone going together here. So we get this nice brown. I'm going to start stippling this in. I think we're going to go quite a bit more. We're going to go darker here. Get a little blue in there. Start making little purple tones. You know what? I think our green area actually needs just a little bit more blue in it to make it darker. Tonally just too bright. Crazy, I know, but there we go. Now we're blending. Now we're jamming. Okay. We'll also grab some of our base tone here, and we'll start to stipple this in across the forehead. Start making some sense out of this. And yeah, this is a learning experience for me, so we're just trying to pick these edges out. I heard Sam Lenz use the expression of, sort of brush control. He's like, I don't understand. You just got to keep your brush going the same direction. He's like, you wouldn't brush your hair a different way each time you pulled the comb. I was like, that is brilliant. You brush it in the direction you want to go. Alright, let's get this side a little bit better. Ooh, I forgot. We need the darker tone first. Captain Madlove says, thank you, Nomadic Chris, for the correction. I'll get my glasses. Take your time, Captain. It's early. Get some coffee. Hank says, I'm back with another liter of tea. Because I know what liters are. Big. Baz says, Captain, it's all good. I've just got coffee now, too. I should make more sense when it kicks in. And Ink says, it's Bilbo Baggins. Yeah, the model is called the Spirit of Adventure, and I thought that was pretty cool. But you can definitely tell who they're pulling from, right? Like, this is straight up Bilbo. Like, the artist definitely, the sculptor definitely had some inspiration. They were drawing off the man himself. And while we're still wet, we're gonna grab our redder tone. And we're going to start to meet it a little bit here. Get a nice smooth transition that way. just grab a little bit more blue for a green tone. Maybe a lot more blue. There we go. Still here trying to see a change on my palette. And I'm going to pack that into the temple just a little bit. Just a little bit. Just feather these edges with a clean brush. No drama. Maybe, where else do you think? Maybe a little bit up here, right at the hairline. Baz says, with the hair gray, it looks like Bilbo from the Two Towers. Right after the effects of the ring haven't been holding him together. That was step 2. This is what happened when he hit step 3. Just kidding. I think that's what happens if you keep hanging on to the ring. Which is still pretty cool. Alright. We're going to add a little bit more white to our tones here. Start taking our red tone up to quite a bit more of a pinky tone, which will mean we're going to add a little more magenta to the mix. Well, that is way too pink. It's okay. How do we take that out of there? A little green, a little yellow. Balance it out. Okay. Let's start picking out the details, so to speak. I'm just agitating ever so gently my brush to pick out the ridge. I'm not going the whole way back. Leave those darker tones in there. Across this cheekbone here. There we go. We're starting to get some paint to come out. I'll leave those again. We'll leave those darker tones up in by the eye. Just gently but persistently get some paint to come off, huh? We'll start to bring some of that liveliness down into here as well. Let's see, he's got this little bit by his lip. Oh, look out. Aaron J. Bang, good morning, good morning. For those of you not familiar with Aaron, and I'm sure this massive raiding party is all too familiar. I bumped into Aaron's Instagram the other day, and I was like, oh my goodness, this guy can paint. Good morning, I hope everybody's doing well. Aaron, how are you now? We are working on skin tones. Oop. Oh, and look at this guy, that Mr. Shy, the gentleman who informed me, go check out Aaron J. Bang. Wait, who's familiar with me? I'm familiar with you. Very little. But very recently, I should say, that Mr. Shy said, for those of you who don't know, that guy with the good music can definitely paint. Gave the Instagram a little creep, and started double clicking the waybacks. And it was a pretty good time. Aaron, if you'd like to link up your Instagram and anybody would like to have a peek at it, it is way worth your time. If you want to check out an artist who knows a lot more tricks than I do, Aaron's your man. Just little by little, we're building up this this highlight here. Doc Holliday's shouting out to all the new friends. Shai says Aaron can throw the F down. There's no doubt. And we'll push him forever because he's my brother. There you go. Aaron's hiding from Shai. Shai's a big old bully a little bit. Like a big, imposing, super friendly bully. Ink says at that Mr. Shai, I'm on my second liter of tea today. Ink, you better watch out. That's too many liters. That's a 2 liter of tea. Aaron says, really? You liked it? Thanks, man. Absolutely. We got DC saying hello to me in the chat. Chat, let DC know what it is. Good morning, good morning. Aaron, I'm practicing mixing skin tones out of an olive green, a primary yellow, and a primary red, as well as a couple of inks. Like a study in how to actually paint some flesh tones. If anybody who is new in here, we'll just set Bilbo down, our little hobbit down here. This is our recent project where I'm working on, you know, this guy's all skin tones. So Shai says, yeah, I'm aggressively nice. A lot of eye contact with that one, I'm sure. Shai says, the inks, I've had 4 coffees and 2 teas, so I reckon I'm about to just whip out your beverage, dinkus, and tell people what you got going on, Shai. You need to, it's not about who has more coffee in them or teas. Aaron says, it's a dangerous path, my boy. Frodo going on the road. Yeah, the sculpt is called The Spirit of Adventure, and I thought, how cool is that? He's starting to come together. I gotta throw some eyes on him. It's starting to bug me. But yeah, we've been working on building this guy up from light source we selected, that zenithal highlight, and I started bringing more and more life in. And I think I have a vision now of what I want to see. So of course, as I refine these, we're going to push his highlights, right? We're going to push the highlights and just get a little bit of wetness on the brush. We're going to push the highlights here, obviously, excuse me. And instead of just highlighting indiscriminately, I'll start picking out these sculpted folds. I'm also going to push this up more. This area is kind of bugging me. And I'm also going to pick the details out in these skin sloughs in here, and we'll define the eye. I want to push back the temple, if that would be advised. I think it, even though it's in highlight, that it should. And my plan for this side, because he is a vampire, we're going to attempt to make him look like, because of the way he's kind of sculpted rising, maybe this particular vampire, this old count, hasn't fed in a while. And so as I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, so maybe he has actually just gotten to feed, and this portion that's in the light is actually coming back to the living a little less in his dead, or a little more in the dead. But this side here that hasn't been into the light just yet is still a little bit more deathly. And so I want to, instead of actually building up the highlights more over here, I kind of want to take the shadows back hard, like go seriously hard in the blues and the purples, and start making them look very unwell. And so anything that's caught the sunlight, like these little portions of his ear, maybe they have, not to the same degree brightened up, but maybe we'll leave them a little more purple. And obviously smooth these up. I think that could be a fun idea. Aaron says, I just finished up the War Games exclusive Saint Celeste, or Celestine? Would it be Celestine? Correct me where I'm wrong. I'll try to get you a picture up on Instagram. I'd love that. And when you do, give us a link. I think you mean he is a vampire. Yes, with these fangs, he wouldn't be doing too much. And one thing I thought was interesting, the sculptor doesn't seem to have done lips. So I don't know if he's got like a severe underbite, or I guess overbite, or we just weren't interested in sculpting them. I am not certain. Mr. Shy says purples and blues. I reckon. Yeah, absolutely. That's how you do that malefic thing, right, Shy? I'm just reading. I don't know how much is the right amount, but I think it's gonna be a lot of Payne's Gray over here. Oh, yeah. All right, man. I was a little late to the draw. Shy is saying things as I'm saying them, and I'm reading them late. Then Mr. Shy says Saint Copyright, the living infringement. Yeah. Gallifire is saying, hey, hope things are all good. Aaron says maybe he's just all shriveled up. That's what I'm thinking. Like his dentures aren't in the bottom. Maybe he only got the vampire teeth on the top. Shouts out to Gallifire, says, hey, buddy. I'm great, and thank you, mate. I'll be a little stressed. How are you? That's my best Shy impression, by the way. Hey, buddy. We've added quite a bit more white to this mix to get a little more pinky, but not a crazy amount. It's quite a bit of yellow, huh? But we do have a lot of foundation on this little guy. So let's see here. Quite a bit of control on the brush. Further defining these ridges. Just peeling back on the snoot. We think a little more on this side too, probably. Even though we're on the shadow side, I think it's still, I mean, it's his face. His face should be pretty bright. And here, all I'm doing is being persistent to get the paint to come off, because it tends not to want to do what it does. And we're just painting off camera. Doc says, I will be upset if there's not Beverage Dingus merch mugs. Shy whipping out his Beverage Dingus. People get excited and they want to pull out their, oh, I've been there before. Or, you don't know the struggle like I've known the struggle. Let me tell you something about you that you don't know. That's right, Shy. I just made you an old man. Shy says, that was a terrible Shy impression. You don't sound like nearly enough of a wanker. Shy, by you saying that I can't sound like an Englishman, makes me so proud. Alright, start feathering this out just a little bit. When we bring our shadow up, we'll kind of start to meet it as well. Little lines. It's like, it's one thing when I'm crouched down here and I'm just looking at him and I'm painting and then I step back. I'm like, oh, he doesn't look half bad. But I think, there, we're in focus. I think right in here somewhere we start to see all the little brush strokes. Gallifire says, stressed is my natural state of operations. That's your SOP, your standard operating procedure, Gallifire, working and lurking. There you go. Shai says, actually, Christopher, the reason I said it is about our excessive consumption of another strim. In another stream. Oh, okay. I was continuing a previous conversation, so shove it, Beardy. You do the shoving. Captain Madlev says, it was nice to pop in here and watch you paint for a while I have some coffee. Well, thank you, Captain. Thank you so much. Says, I'm off to the doctor's for final tests. Hopefully those go well. Shai says, you do look like Hodier when you hunch like that. No, rude. Captain says, my phone is jacked and not working very well, but I'll catch up with you on the computer later. Captain, I'd love that. Gallifire says, good luck to Captain. I think that goes with, as absolutely needs to be said, Captain. I hope things go well for you. And Shai says, you're amazing. I'll try to stop by soon. It's good to have Captain back. I'm going to go back to our previous tone, our little mid-tone here. Has quite a bit more brown to it. And I'm actually going to glaze us back just a little. A little bit more moisture on the brush this time. And so you can see that on my thumbnail. And we're going to take that little highlight area. We're just going to continue to add this little bit of intrigue to it. A little bit by a little bit. You know what it is. That's still a little bit too bright for my liking, so we're going to take it back a little bit more. Let's see. That looks like quite a bit more, huh? Let's see how we look. Because you can't mess this up. You just put some more paint on it, that's all. We'll take this up top here as well. To feather it on either side of the highlight is, I think, the whole goal here. Keep it smooth. And then, because of what we're doing, we're just going to add a little bit more blue and a little bit more green, because it'll cool the color down quite a bit. That blue is strong. Goodness. Mind you, I said earlier that I've switched over to the fluorescent blue because it is less strong than the other blues. And it's still getting me. Alright, here we go. We're in focus. We're upside down. Where we've been working our way down the whole time. Now I'm going to kind of outline the jaw, and we'll work our way up. Let's get it from this side as well. A little out of focus here. Fix that. Just pull this up. Leave that temple a little dark, but start to build up the colors on the other side of it. Pull those colors here. What do you guys think? We're starting to get a little hobbit coming to life here. Shai says, Jesus, you can tell there's a vote today. My Tories are driving up and down the high street with a Vox horn trying to rally. What is Cadia? C-A-D-I-A, Shai. Educate me, my good sir, if you may. What do we think here? I think it's time to give this a shot here. Let's see if I got this airbrush back together after cleaning. USB device not recognized. Did I lose anything on the stream? Shai says, sorry, I was using Warhammer 40k words to be more topical. KD, okay. Aaron J. Banks says, KK back with pics. Perfect, Aaron. Be something to have a peek at while I'm trying to get my airbrush completely together here. Shai says you guys could have a new prime minister over there, so that's pretty exciting. Or not, I don't know. I don't know politics on that side. I barely know them here. Alright. And here... Ooh, that seems like quite a bit too wet. We'll get some more color in here. Now let's give that a shot. Somewhat better. Okay. Here we are. Aaron, thank you so much. Let me get this built up a little bit. Just little by little, we're going to build up these edges. Glorious Badger. Minnie's looking great. Thank you, Badger. Let's have a look here on the highlight side. We're starting to get this guy smoothed out. Still keeping our brush strokes, but, you know, we're not getting too crazy. Have to fix his hair a little bit. I mean, you know we got to bring some from this side because this is our focal point, but let's get us into focus here. There we are. Ooh, a little too much paint. There we go. Nothing crazy. Let's have a look at what Aaron was working on, and then next time we sit down, we'll be working on bringing the shadows up again, and just the other side of importance. Clean this out a little bit, but let's get this up. And good morning, good morning. Everyone's shouting out to Badger. Captain's shouting out to Badger. Captain, aren't you supposed to be at the hospital? Not sure if airbrush or CPAP machine. Rude, Doc. Badger says, I've got my coffee and I'm back from the cold. Shai says, I was looking at Angel, I don't know how to pronounce Angel's last name, but airbrushing yesterday. He uses a pulsing technique, and I can't figure out how he keeps his clutch depth consistent because his brush didn't have a depth stop. He's just doing this. That's what I do. He's just, on another level with it. Just takes practice to do those little 10% blasts. Badger says, get some tea. That always helps my blood pressure. There you go. There you go. Aaron's hiding. Aaron, don't be hiding. We're going to be having a look at this. You can't hide from the gram. It's public. It's out there now. All right. Everybody, let's have a look at what Aaron was working on today. Boom. We got smooth and silky blends going on those wings. I see you're working on the power weapon kind of situation there. You got reds and yellows and purples going on. That base is super dynamic. You got grays and greens and reds and purples. There's nice gold tones going on in the for the metallics as well. Still super dynamic model and super dynamic paint going on. Blend's looking smooth as butter on a muffin. I'm so happy to have my Sotar running again. Let me get my chat back up here. We got Zarvan in the building. Says, hey. Well, hey, man, back at you. We're having a look at what Aaron is working on. Captain Madlev says the car be warming. Doc says, not rude. The air compressor in both makes a similar soothing noise. I kind of like the airbrush myself. I think it sounds pretty cool. Captain Madlove says it's 15 degrees here in the morning, so needs to warm up. It's pretty cold here in Pennsylvania as well. Glorious Badger says, always room for more. Always room for more. I've smashed a hefty amount of tea already. Shai's been crushing teas. He's been crushing waters, all of it. Coffees. Probably not waters. Why do I say waters? I drink the water. Aaron says, thanks, man. The airbrush blends are easy. The sword blends were a little harsher. Yeah, well, I mean, everything's in a state, Okay, now it's time to post some pictures of my new personal passion project, my Sisters of Battle. I didn't mean to. I called Shy thirsty. Because if I am, it's on you. I would never call Shy thirsty. Whoa. We're knocking everything over here. Because if I am, it's on you. Goodness. Badger. Gallifire says to Badger, the robots ones, Noko and Eva from Robot Rocket, miniatures is nice casts. Let's get back over to here. Yeah, Aaron, those are pretty sweet. So you did the airbrush to blend the wings. Are you going to airbrush blend your sword after you get all your colors down? Baz says, that's awesome. Not sharing my Insta now. Baz, you should absolutely share your Insta. We love art. Everyone's building a staircase of techniques. They're building a staircase of hours worth of practice. And you're not trying to compare your work to great people like Aaron or Badger or Shy. They're just on their own path. You're on your path. All you're doing is celebrating the step or this elevation that you're on at the time. You're documenting where you're at and where you're going. Now, Baz, I'm not putting you on the spot, but it'd be great for you to Baz, you gonna make me look it up? Why don't you kick that link? Shai says, I'm not great people. I'm competent, enthusiastic people. Goodness. Baz says, that sounds really pervy. Don't know what the link is. You go to your Instagram. You click the little dots. You copy link to profile. And you paste it in here. Sorry, guys. I mentioned earlier that it is Lady Nomadic's birthday today. And I was just making sure everything was in order with this little card here. It's adorable. Look at that thing. Baz, I will find you in a moment. I'm trying to figure it out. Give me a second. Paint a print. Let's see here. Keyboard's all the way over here. P-A-I-N-T _ A. Baz, do you go by Barry? Or Thober Studios? Look out. Everybody prepare yourself. You are in the presence, or about to be in the presence, of some of the finest wooden products in all of Twitchdom. God wood, hammer, hammer. There it is. All right, Baz, we got you located. We're taking a look at what Baz has going on. Orthober, how are you today? Thank you so much for stopping in. If anybody is interested in some fine wooden products, give that man a follow. If you're looking for anything better than this, just check out how he paints. The man is incredible. All right, where are we at here? We're sharing over here and seeing what Baz is up to. I had to track him down. What's this guy? A little Murloc-looking guy? Look at the child. This little child we got here. Calling this little dude done. Can't wait to send my buddy's daughter. Oh, that's going to be a great gift. I'm digging The Mandalorian quite a bit, and the child makes it all the better. I'm not going to play that Baby Yoda stuff. I'm going to let all of you know up front what it is. Okay? It's not a Baby Yoda. Orthober says, doing well. And you, sir. I am also doing all right. Oh, what's this? What's this in the back? What kind of paintbrush is that? What kind of paintbrush is that? Is that one of these? Do you have one of these? A well-loved Raphael, perhaps? Look at this. Chaosy goodness. Decent. Baz, you're killing it. Let's not have any of this. I don't want to share my things anymore. Let's all give this man a follow. Check out what he's working on. Follow his progress. Feeling some kind of way about other people maybe turning out more advanced things. It's not like that. I was just explaining that it's everybody's on their staircase. Everybody's building their way to something. And you're just celebrating the particular step of the path you're on. The next level of the staircase, so to speak. What did we miss here? Orthober's doing well. Baz says, thanks for all the love. Vanny's throwing out them Santa emotes. That thing's sick looking. Baz says, yep, same brand. Vanny Bun. Or Bunny. Is it Bunny? Should it be? Says, now I will continue to lurk before I start a riot up in her. You gonna start a riot? What'd you do? Baz says, thanks for the love. It means a lot. Shy says, I'd share my garbage, but I haven't uploaded anything interesting this week. If anybody is not familiar with that Mr. Shy, he is that Mr. Good Paint. Incredible MTG altars. He's working on his miniature painting journey. His approach to non-metallic metals and how he applies that concept to highlight and shadow of all things, attempting it to be metal or not, is great. I called you a baby Yoda. You best... Did I miss the sass? Vanny? Where's it at? Oh, I tell you. Now I will continue to lurk before I start a ride up in here. Yeah, you're a baby Yoda. I see it now. It was hidden amongst the Santas. Oh, boy. Good day, the Macaman 92. Welcome. How's everybody? We're just working on the spirit of adventure this morning. Getting things more defined, more refined, so to speak. Shy says, Chris, stop being nice to me. I'm trying to be in a bad mood. That Mr. Shy has a lot to learn about how to accept criticisms, critiques. I think actually if we were being rude about it instead of being super constructive, he might take it better. He's the kind of person that seems to like people say, seems fine. Yeah, a lot of his work seems fine. Seems incredibly fine. Anybody with the little tooth fairy? Is that what that is? We got 5D Mage says, ooh, Trixie Hobbitses. He is a Trixie Hobbitses. We also came up with a really fun idea for this guy. Because he is a vampire, we're going to attempt, this is like an academic piece. I'm trying to push my limits, find my technical limitations so I can practice them and move forward and be better. So we're going to pretend that he hasn't fed in a while. And so he's going to be extra in his dead, or extra dead. On this side, he'll be more undead on that side. And so I'm going to pack in a lot more blues and purples over here. And we're going to bring his highlights up a little more and refine this over here. But it's looking pretty good. Maybe as if he's looking up after feeding first for a long time. But it'll give me a good opportunity to be more hero-esque on this side, more happy and alive, and more malefic on the right. Little yin and yang, so to speak. Galifire saying, excellent to Inks. Inks says, I'm just happy I won the Lindy's November Nurgle Paint Along. I'm just very happy. Inks, I had no idea. That's fantastic. I don't have shout-outs, but another person, if you're not following, Inks is a streamer. And it would be an incredible follow for anybody in here that isn't doing so. Vanny Bun says, I'm good, Bunny. I be good now. Okay, Vanny Bunny, excellent. Mad Love says, okay, phone won't do what it needs, so I screen capped. So I screen cap, folks, and we'll follow after appointments. All right, Captain. I hope things do go well. I can't say it enough. Be safe this morning and stay warm. Baz says, loves the bust. Orthober, nice. Okay, got to get ready for work. Thanks for the kind words and have a wonderful day. You as well. Orthober, we're going to need a plinth for this at some point. That's all I'm saying. We're going to need a little something. Get him squared away. That Mr. Shy says, what? Who was talking about criticism? I was just saying you're very kind. It's the most British way possible. Shy, I do apologize. It is early, and I choose the wrong word. I realize there's a lot of baggage to that term, and that is not at all what I intended to say. Bunny says, speaking of vampires, I'm trying to bring back Count Duckula, if anybody is interested. That's funny. Galifire says, a lovely bust. Who's sculpt? This is a Romain van Bergen, I believe. But yeah, a well-known artist, sculptor, and I think this is sold at Fur Miniatures and also directly from Roman, if you can find it. It's a pretty fun sculpt. Here's another one of his works. Oh, don't you fall. Break my heart. We're working on this guy, trying to get him, get his gaps filled in. Trying to sculpt this Milliput. into a good space for him. We'll get it. I think we're looking pretty okay. This might actually be a point where I've got to do a little bit of work in here, and then I'll prime him up and see where the mistakes lie. So he's coming, and if any of you are familiar with George, we're going to look at his name real quick. Sukazitis. I have this lovely dwarven hunter that's come in. I was showing him off earlier. We're going to... Possibly one of the cleanest resin sculpts I've ever held. Shai says, funny enough, on the subject of criticism, the reason I never ask for verbal feedback is actually quite an odd one. Basically, I'm an entirely practical learner. I can fully understand something in theory, but my brain isn't capable of connecting it practically. So basically, the only way I can learn a thing is to put in the hours and figure out my way of doing it. I have an annoying brain. I relate to that probably more than you appreciate right now, but we'll talk about that. That is incredibly valuable. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's like you just got to harness that for good, because the fact that you can understand where things aren't where you want them to be is powerful. It is a good thing, Shai. You just got to use that thing for good. I'm super stoked to start working on, I think, several different leather types. He has some filigree. I mean, he is dwarven after all. Monstrous beard. And these incredible porous textures in his skin tone. Got a little bit of paint off my hand onto him. But yeah, nose ring, beard. He even has some harnesses to pull his beard forward. I believe these might be bone, but I think this might just be harnessing his beard some. I haven't determined. I gotta talk to George about what his vision is for this. If these are sort of tusks for something that he's slain and he's now adorning his beard with them, or if this is to be more hair. But because sometimes dwarves will do that, they'll use something gilded to funnel their braids from their beards. And these connect right in here. Super clean, super smooth. And you can tell that George cares about his busts, because right here he's taken the time to sand this off to be smooth of any mold line before sending it out. An incredible attention to detail that does not go unnoticed, because you can definitely tell when things have not been cared for. And George cares. So that's to come. I have some Space Marines I got to wrap up before we can get the work done. Ink's coming in, letting Shai know what the love is. Bunny says, basically, I don't ask for... Oh, sorry, we bounced. I only like criticism when it comes to my job, or my jobby job, as a therapist. Creatively, I think I'd explode. Ink says, you are an amazing painter, Mr. Shai. And Shai responds, you are an amazing cheerleader. If I had a better ability to connect my brain and my hand, I'd be better. I've been painting for over 20 years. And that's the thing I was talking about earlier, when sometimes somebody might be apprehensive to share their work or show where they're at. They can be off-put by the work of other artists. There's always somebody bigger, badder, and better at whatever you're doing. It's just what it's going to be. What you have to understand is that your path is your improvement, or your pursuit of improvement, over where you were yesterday. That's all you can do. You can just try to be focused on improving what you were before. Try to push yourself, try to evolve yourself, and go from there. And in that respect, I think anybody who's putting in the time with their brush is doing a great thing. Shai says things like, I've been at this for over 20 years. So when you look at his work, you shouldn't be, I don't want to say this, you shouldn't feel disheartened or, oh, I'm just anything negative. You shouldn't feel anything negative. You should feel super positive at knowing what 20 years of dedication could mean to you. That's all it is. It should be about that. It shouldn't be a bad thing. He's got 20 years of steps he's taken on that staircase. And he says, I'm born with dyspractica, I think is how you would say that. I am so sorry. And that disability of hand-eye coordination, I agree. I've also been painting for 20 years, but I know I can't perfect it, so I work around it. Yeah, you work with what you're doing. Everybody's working on different things. And I have an idea for that purple leather, by the way. Baz says, to be honest, I paint as a form of pain therapy. Only been back painting 4 to 6 months from a 15-year layoff. Gutted, I stopped painting when I was younger. Yeah, it's anything you don't put, or you're going to put the time and you're going to be better at. And you can look at things that, I guess you can look at times where you haven't been doing that work and see it as lost time. But you were just on a different path. Shai says, currently Eni is coaching me. She gives me colored in photographs of my work, showing me what to change, which is more practical for my brain. My brain can organize that into something my hands can do. I didn't know you were doing that, Shai. That's pretty fun. Eni is my hero, and I adore her. Oops for the swear, Chris. Ain't no big deal. Galafire says, that's great. Yeah, that's good. I'm sure that's how her senpai gives her feedback, and she just passes that on to you. But it is 7:30. We've been chatting for a while, and I feel like we made some pretty reasonable progress on his face. I'm going to call his face pretty good. I got a little bit of cleanup to do here on the shadow side. No big deal. And then we're going to refine his vest, and then we'll refine his jacket, and then we'll wrap up his skin tones, get everything dark lined, and then it's time for backpack work. But we'll do that tomorrow. I'd like to have him pretty well good before then. Ink's kicking out a big hug. Baz saying that's good for Shai. Shai says, honestly, I'm so bloody lucky that a painter I admire is willing to give me feedback in a way that my idiot brain can process. It's so lucky. Well, that is so good, Shai. Let's have a peek here and see who's online. See who we want to go visit. All right, I'm going to double check here and make sure these are the only people that are working. Who do we have? Who do we have? Not too many people. Browse MINI. Who is up and working? I think it's going to be somebody new. We're going to have to go visit and see what they're up to. Nah, we'll go see Lean Machine. I don't have the time to hang out, and I want to get to know whoever we go visit. So let's go check out Lean Machine. They're an excellent painter. They do incredible work, super polite, and he's back at it. Galifar says, I think miniature painting community is great. It is absolutely great. Shai says there's some fine people by and large. We are all very, very blessed to have each other, really. I couldn't agree more, Shai. Or Chris Gaming, thank you so much for the follow. Mr. Shai says, I have this amazing collection of different people for the different parts of my personality, and I always have someone to connect with. That's a wonderful thing, Shai. All right, guys. We're going to raid over to Lean Machine, and
Thank you, buddy.